Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to be playing around with more of the My Monthly Hero card kit. I love this greenhouse die, and this is what it comes with. We've got two big dies to make the greenhouse, the insert, but I want to do something a little bit different with this today. So what I've done is just taken this die here, I've gone ahead and cut this out. So we've got sort of our greenhouse outline that you would put down, but I'm actually going to go ahead and cut it off here to make sort of like a square. So I'm just going to try to cut up as close to the edges as I can. So I'm just cutting the top of the greenhouse off. So we're left with this little frame area here. Now I'm going to take my 3D embossing folder. This is the Brick by Brick from Spellbinders. And I've got this light cream cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and run this through here. This is 5.5 by 4.25, and this is going to be the base for this. So this is sort of where my brain is going today. So I tried to line this up horizontally along this embossing folder because it doesn't quite go to the edge, but I think I got the cardstock pretty much edge to edge so that when we take it out, the embossing covers the whole thing. So this looks like a really cool brick panel here, and this is going to be the base for our card. I'm going to come in and do a little bit of ink blending, and I just went ahead and cut some things out. So I cut out some of these long leaves here, and I cut out a couple of these bigger pots, and then this smaller pot which goes with this little hanger thing here. I also cut out this, but this looks like the backing, so I'm not going to ink blend this. This is what it looks like here. But I did cut out a bunch of these little pieces that are here because it looks like these kind of piece into here. So this might be a little confusing to put together, but we'll figure it out. So I just cut out a bunch of different colors here, a lighter green and a darker green, and I'm going to do some ink blending as well. And I also cut out this little piece that goes on top of the pot here. And I think that's pretty much it. Oh, and I did cut out some curtains here. So I came in with this set. This is the window Wonderland from Spellbinders. And I wanted to have some curtains because I'm thinking of doing like a window kind of picture here. So I thought these curtains would go good with that. So we've got the little curtains here on the side, and then it comes with like the little things that make it look like it's pulled together, and they're in here somewhere. I think those are it there. So I went ahead and cut those out, and I'm going to go ahead and ink those with this Dusty Concord. I think that's gonna go pretty nicely with the purple that I have. And I'm just going to do a little bit of ink blending here, not too much because we are going to have like a few different elements going on. But I'm basically just focusing this where the curtains would be pulled back. And I'm trying to go light-handed. Okay, so that's pretty good. And then I'm going to come in with my darker purple. This is Villainous Potion. And I'm just going to do a little tiny bit of this right on the sides here where it would be kind of pulled in the tightest. And then I may even just bring a little bit of this right in here to kind of make it a little bit more of a darker purple. Just a little bit right where they're kind of pulled back. And then just kind of blending that out. Perfect. So I'm going to come in with my broken china, I think, for my lighter blues. I think this will look nice. And again, I'm just kind of focusing on the edges here to get a bit of a rounded look. We are going to have these little things that go over it, so I'm not going to worry too much. And I'm just going to use my stylus to hold down some of this, but I am going to do a little bit of blending on this, just on the edges again. Just something like that. And then I'll come in with Uncharted Mariner, or just a dark blue. And I think that's going to look good on this one. And just trying to focus on the edges again. And sometimes when you have such a busy scene going on, because we are going to have a few different things going on, you don't have to be perfect with your ink blending, or you don't really need to add any at all. So don't feel like you have to do this, but if I, really want something to pop, just taking a few extra minutes to come through and do this makes a difference. Okay, so let's grab some of our greens. And actually, let's do our other pot. So I'm going to gather twigs for the smaller pot. And again, just focusing on the edges. And then I'll come in with ground espresso here for the darker one. And I don't bother switching out my brushes. I basically have a brush, like one brush for brown, one brush for purple, like just different colors like that. If I really want to go from a lighter to a darker color, or from a darker to a lighter color, then I'll just wipe it off on a paper towel or something, but I'm not too worried. Might even bring a little bit of this onto the pot too, just to get a little extra. All right. And then let's grab some greens. I think this mauve lawn will look nice on the lighter greens. You know what? Maybe that's going to be too light. Let's try it out. I think I want to go a little bit darker than that. So I am going to come in with my Rustic Wilderness, which is just a little bit darker. And I'm just going to kind of focus this on the vine area between the leaves. Now this set did have some cutouts that you could cut out just the little leaves, and then you can kind of piece them together. But that's kind of a lot of work. So I figured I would just do a darker vine and a lighter vine set. Get out of here. And kind of see if I can get them to overlap that way. So I'm just coming right in between these leaves, trying to get a shadow there. And it doesn't have to be perfect again. We're just adding just little tiny touches, little tiny details here. Okay, and I'm going to use the same green for these, and I'm going to kind of just focus on the bottom part here, because I'm not really sure how I'm going to end up putting this plant together. Looks like we have the backing, and then I think we put darker pieces on, and then maybe some lighter pieces over top of that. So we'll kind of have to figure that one out. Okay, perfect. I think that's good. And then for our dark ones, I'm going to come in with pine needles. I think this is going to be a little bit darker. It's also a little more on the blue side, but we'll just see how this looks. That might actually look good together. Just give it a different kind of tone. Just something different. Now for our window frame, I'm going to come in with Lost Shadow, and I think I actually have a little bit of gray left on this brush, so I'm just going to see what's already on here. Actually, I probably could come in with a little bit more, and I'm just going to focus this just a little bit, sort of in the corners, towards the inside, just to give a little bit of some shadowing here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to skip it around, and kind of whatever it picks up on, it picks up on. I just don't want it to be a perfect white. Here, let me just get this a little closer so you can kind of see where I've just dabbed a little bit of that gray on there. So it's not perfect, but it's not meant to be. I want it to look like it's still white, but a little bit dirty. So I'm just going to get everything glued together, and then we're going to assemble our card. Now, I did take me a while to kind of mess around with this one and put it together. And one thing I will note, I did put these vertical here, but they actually go horizontal in this. So because I shaded the two sides of them, like the opposite sides, I'm still going to keep it vertical, but it still fits like this. So I guess you could put it either way, but I guess it's meant to go across this way. And this was quite hard to get together, but I figured it out. But I kind of did it opposite here because I had to put an extra layer of cardstock in here, because I ended up putting these longer strips down first and then these ones over top. But you could see like this little gap area in between. So then I ended up laying another one over top to hide that. So this one's got 3 layers, but this one we're going to do better. So I'm going to take the 2 side pieces first, and these are going to be our pieces in the back. So they're going to go here, oops, and here, and here, and here. So we're going to get those glued down first. And I'm just dabbing off any extra glue, because I did put quite a bit of glue down. Probably don't need that much. Okay, so those are the pieces that are going to go in the back. And then we've got 3 here that are going to go in the middle. So the taller one goes in the middle, and then we've got one that has a little bit more curve and one that's slightly straighter. I don't know if it necessarily really matters, the 2 side ones, which one you get down, but I tried to find pieces that looked like these. We're just going to line this up, and it covers up those holes, like these little open areas here. So now that I've figured out how they go, it's not so hard. But that first round, I thought I was just going to end up keep layering it up. And this one, I'm just going to try to line this one up as best I can. I don't think this one matches perfectly, but that's okay. It's good enough. And then for this little one here, I just did little tiny dabs. And again, because I did the shading on the 2 sides, I'm going to put it this way, there, and then we're just going to put a little bit of glue on the bottom here of this, and we're going to attach this to here. And there, so those are 2 plants, and you can see the difference with having the lighter ones in the front or the lighter ones in the back. So it just depends what you want, but I figure since we have 2 different colored bases here, we'll switch up the leaves in there. And then this one, I'm going to get this over this. Now there is this little area that's not attached. I'm not really sure Maybe this is to go behind it. Yeah, I think it's to go to behind it to make it look like it's holding it from the back as well. So we'll go ahead and get this glued down, and then we'll put some of our leaves in, because I may need to trim this a little bit to fit in the card, because I'm thinking having this hanging from the top. Actually, maybe I won't need to trim that, and have that hanging from the top a little bit, and then our plants will go on the sides. Okay, so that's how that little one looks. And then we will have some of these kind of hanging out of it, but I want to get it on the background first. So this is going to be my background for the house. So we've got like our little brick texture here. This is going to be part of our window, like for the inside of the house, and then this is going to go over top of it. So we've got to build everything from the back to the front. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll just build from our little window area first. And we're going to get our curtains on here. But with the curtains, they don't quite go all the way to the top. We've got this little area there, and if we put this down, we're going to have like this little space where you're not going to see any curtains. So I'm actually going to move them up a little bit so that it is flush with the corner, and then I'll cut off the extra. So our curtains will end up being a little bit short, but I think that's better than having a gap up here. So I'm going to go ahead and get these glued down. Now I am putting the curtains on first because I want it to look like the plants are in front of the curtains if they do overlap, because you would set your plants, you know, on the other side of your curtains closest to the light on your window. And then we've got these two little spots here that kind of hold the curtain over. So I'm going to get some glue on there. Okay, so I think I'm going to have these plants kind of resting somewhere like here maybe, and then we'll have this kind of hanging in, but I'm going to have this little hanging part off of this, and then we'll have our little leaves. So maybe I'll get this stuck down now. So I'm just going to cut this little top part off so that it looks like it's hanging from above the window frame. Okay, and then we'll get some of these kind of hanging out. And you know what, I might see if I can lift this just a little bit here so that I can kind of tuck these in around, because I think that's going to look cute. And we'll just see how many we can get in there. Yeah, I think I'm just going to start gluing these down. So I think that's going to be cute. Okay, so while that's kind of taking a second to set down there, I'm just going to cut off the backs here of our curtains. And then we'll just see where we want these little plants to be, because our windowsill would be down here. So I want them to be, I think, right down at the edge. Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to put them, right down at the edge. And I may actually just take an extra piece of cardstock. Because this is kind of offset a little bit, I'm just going to put a little piece of cardstock here, or you could put a little piece of foam, and that way I'll have a flat surface to glue down. Now I'm just going to take our little window frame, get some glue on here. I'm just going to kind of dab it on. We'll just get this lined up. And then I'm probably going to put something heavy on this for a few minutes just to make sure that everything is glued down nicely. I absolutely love how this turned out. So we're going to go ahead and glue it to our background piece here. And then I'm going to decide if I want to put a sentiment on the front or if I just want to put it on the back. But we'll give this a few minutes to glue down. And then we'll see what I decide, because I feel like the front will be busy enough with everything, but I do like to have sentiment on the front of the card. But this would be a good time to save that for the end. So I am going to stand up here just so I can get this centered as best I can. And then I'm going to go ahead and put an acrylic block on top of this for a few minutes again. I do think I want to add a sentiment, and I really like Here's to Another Year of Growth, You Grow Girl, and Have a Plantastic Birthday. I think I'm going to go with the Have a Plantastic Birthday, and I'm not sure if I want to stamp this in a purple because I feel like that'll kind of bring some of the colors from our curtains in, or so I've got my Dusty Concord here, or in black. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp in both, and then I can kind of decide which one I like better, because there's die cuts that will cut these out as well. I can just go ahead and stamp both, and then we can kind of hold it up to the card and see which one we like better. So I'm going to go ahead and use the Dusty Concord first, and again just give this a little prime. And this might be a little light. Oh, I think I like that though. So I was going to do this or the Villainous Potion, but I think this one might be nice. I could come in with the Villainous Potion for like the Plantastic word. Oh, do I want to do that? No, maybe I'll leave it like this. And then we'll do a black one, because I feel like the Villainous Potion is going to be very dark. You know what? Let's just do 3. Because now I kind of want it in a darker one too. So we're just going to go ahead and stamp this out 3 times. Actually, let's move this up just a little bit so we do have room to cut them out with. And I'm just going to probably press each of these twice just to make sure I get a good impression. I like that one a little bit darker, but that might go a little bit better. And then we'll go ahead and try the black. And I'm just using my archival ink here. It's a really nice dark ink. Make sure that's still in place. Perfect. So that's all 3, the difference there. And I'll go ahead and cut out all 3, and then we'll kind of just hold them up to our card. And if we don't like them, we don't have to put them on. If we do, we can choose which color we like. Okay, so here's the 3 sentiments in black, in Villainous Potion, and Dusty Concord. And I think I'm actually going with the Villainous Potion just because it kind of brings in the curtains. And this one kind of doesn't really match as much with the curtains. So then I'm kind of going between these 2. And I don't really have any other black on this card. I could do a black matte if I wanted, but I don't think so. So I think I am going to go with the purple here, the Villainous Potion. And I think I'm going to pop it up here, and I'm going to put a little bit of foam on the top and the bottom so it will go over top of the window frame here. For whatever reason, when I zoom in a lot, my camera wants to make this look a little bit darker, almost black, but this is the dark purple, the Villainous Potion that I stamped out, and I just put a little bit of foam on either side so that it would kind of go over this bottom frame. But I'm going to get this glued onto the back of my card here, and I'm just going to make sure that that lines up and fits. Yes, it does. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of the foam here, just to give me a little bit of wiggle room. And I'm actually going to put it on the window frame here too, just because that'll be touching the inside part. And I'm just going to try to line this up kind of centered as best I can. Now, before I end this video, I just wanted to mention quickly, I did use this brick texture background, but you could use different backgrounds for this. So I've got this wood panel one here. This is, I believe this is a 2D embossing folder that I got off Amazon, but it's just these wood panels. So you could also, you know, put this in here and just kind of like run it along at different angles to make it look like wood paneling going across. If you wanted a house like that, it wouldn't quite fit the whole card. But if you did it like this, it would fit, but you'd have to kind of modify your window here. You could kind of cut it down a little bit, or you could just leave the window like this. So there's different options that you could use for your background to get sort of like a house texture, but I really love how this card turned out. I love the added little drapes here. Now again, you could add a little piece of cardstock down here at the bottom just to make the drapes come down all the way, but I didn't want there to be like a spot where you could see where it would cut across, so I don't mind having them a little bit shorter like this. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe. That really does help my channel out. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.